Hey guys, welcome back. So what are we learning and doing today? Today you will identify the similarities and differences between Peter Pan and Chapter 1 of Peter Pan in Kensington Gardens. Let's look at our learning targets. Number 1, I can identify similarities and differences between Peter Pan and Chapter 1 of Peter Pan in Kensington Gardens. So I have similarities highlighted in yellow, and similarities is another way to say the same. Differences is highlighted in orange. It's another way to say different. So you're going to take two texts and you can compare what is the same about both of them or what's different about each of them. I'm going to be reading chapter 12 of Peter Pan, titled Extremely Happy Hook. I'm not going to lie, guys, this is where the book gets interesting even more. So I'm going to read it. You are more than welcome to follow along and listen to me as I read, or you can mute the video and read by yourself. Just look for the stop sign symbol to pause the video, unmute, so you can listen to the rest of the lesson. The pirate attack was a complete surprise. Hook had broken all of the rules the pirates and the Indians normally followed when they fought. He attacked in neither the time nor the place that was allowed. When it was over, almost all of the Indians were injured. Only Tiger Lily managed to escape unharmed. Finished with the Indians, the pirates still could not rest. It was, after all, not the Indians they had come for. The Indians were just bees to be smoked out so they can get to the honey. The pirates wanted the Lost Boys and Wendy, and most of all, Peter Pan. Peter was an awfully small boy to inspire such big hatred in Hook, even if he had thrown Hook's hand to the crocodile. But there was something strange about him that enraged Hook. It was more than Peter's courage or his cuteness. It was his cockiness, his absolute confidence in himself. This is something that many children have, but most grown-ups have lost it entirely. Perhaps Hook had lost some of his too and wanted it back. The question was, how could the pirates get down the hollow trees, which were perfectly sized to allow each individual Lost Boy down, but no one else? Below, the boys were still trying to figure out who had won the battle. It was the Indians, they reasoned. They'll beat their tom-tom drums. It's always their sign of victory. Perched at the edge of the hollow trees up above, the pirates heard this. Smee happened to be sitting on a tom-tom, which Hook ordered him to beat immediately. After a moment of confusion, Smee understood and smiled. Bang, 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 went the tom-tom drum. The tom-tom, the pirates heard Peter cry. The Indians have won. Let's go up and celebrate with them. The Lost Boys cheered, and Hook ordered his men to take their positions and to get ready for the boys to come up through the trees. The first to emerge was Curly. The pirates threw him around like a ball, from Cecco to Smee, then Starkey, then Bill Jukes, then Noodler. One by one, all of the boys were plucked from their trees and tossed around in this manner. It was, to say the least, a different kind of flying than they were used to. Pirates then gagged the boys and tied them up. With Wendy, the pirates behaved differently. After all, she was a lady, or rather a little girl, and even pirates have some manners. When she emerged, Hook offered her his arm, and bowed so elegantly that she blushed. When they tied her up, they used the softest rope they had, apologizing and making sure they weren't hurting her. Interesting. When it came time to tie up Slightly, however, the pirates found that it took far more rope than it had for the other boys or Wendy. It turned out that Slightly had been sneaking so many snacks lately, they had grown really greatly. In fact, there had come a day when he no longer fits his tree. How had he gotten out of the cave? Each night while the other boys slept, he had secretly started to widen the hole in his tree. Why are you so much bigger than the other boys? Hook demanded. Why, you're practically as big as a grown-up. While the pirates found extra rope, which, to tie him up, Hook had a brilliant idea. He knew how he was going to get Peter, who was still down in the cave. He signaled for the other pirates to take the lost boys and Wendy to the ship and leave him alone to his plans. Tiptoeing over to Slightly's tree, Hook saw that it was now wide enough to let him through. He listened for any sound from down below, but all was quiet. Was Peter asleep? Was he waiting at the bottom of the tree with a dagger in his hand? The only way to find out was to try. Hook took a deep breath, stepped into the tree, and let himself fall. When he hit the ground, he crouched for a second, waiting for his eyes to adjust to the dark of the underground cave. Finally, things began to take shape. In the corner, he saw a great bed, and on it, Peter sleeping. For once, Peter wasn't pretending. He was unaware of what was happening up above. He believed the Indians had won the battle and that the Lost Boys had gone up to celebrate with them. He was happy for the Indians, but the Lost Boys were going to leave him. And Peter didn't feel like celebrating. Oh, he had pretended not to care, but he was very sad. And when he got sad, he got sleepy. Today he was so sleepy that he didn't even dream. It was in this sad, deep dream of sleep that Hook found Peter. As he stood over the bed and looked down, Hook felt slightly sorry for the boy. After all, Peter was only a child, and Hook wasn't completely evil. But then Peter smiled in his sleep. Perhaps he was dreaming something after all, and that smile seemed so arrogant and made Hook angry all over again. He saw a glass of water on Peter's night table and knew exactly what to do. In case he should ever be captured, Hook always carried a small bottle of poison with him. Taking it out of his pocket now, he added a few drops to Peter's water. Peter would wake up, take a sip, and fall to the ground dead. With one satisfied look back, Hook climbed back up Slightly's tree. Once above the ground, Hook tilted his captain's hat at a fashionable angle, wound his dark cloak dramatically around himself, and stole away through the forest. So that is the end of chapter 12. Wow, things just got really interesting. Hook put poison in Peter's water. So what happened? Hook and the pirates captured the Lost Boys while Peter was sleeping. Hook saw Peter sleeping, and like I said, he poisoned his drinking water. And I expect or predict that he's either going to drink it or something's going to happen to this water poison. So how does this chapter build? Well, the end of the previous chapter, we see that Wendy and the Darling family was interrupted by the sounds of pirates attacking the Indians. In the previous chapters, the pirates and Hook have been trying to capture Peter and the Lost Boys. So before they were trying to get them with the cake, and now they're doing the sneak attack. So what you are going to do now is you are going to, after this instruction, you're going to answer all of these questions on Google Form. You're going to be answering, what do we know from reading the chapter? What do you think will happen next and why? And what did this chapter make you think about? Did you enjoy it? Why or why not? So take some time right now to stop the video and answer those questions. There is a part 2 to this lesson in which we read our new book. Good luck.